Yeah, we're live. I think we're good.
We're on there. Right. So this is the bit that people on YouTube get to see before I can get to the edit.
Real.
And then, yeah, so the lucky few, the lucky few. All right, let me just make sure we are live there. Make sure that's muted in there. Got it. Pop a chat out. And we'll have the chat over there. And we have the Zoom call in there. All right, so I've got my live chat on my right screen. I don't need the tablet now, thank fuck, because it's pissing about. Right, here we go. Right, hello and welcome to the Talk Football Podcast. This is episode 14. I am joined by Dylan, the Chelsea fan. We're going to talk about the match tonight, a victorious Chelsea over Crystal Palace. And we'll get Dylan's thoughts overall about the season, etc., and how things are going, and we'll see where we go. We are live, so if anyone does pop up in chat and wants to ask us questions, they can do so, and we will react live to that. So, welcome to the podcast, Dylan.
I
Apologies for
appreciate it.
taking so long for getting you on.
Nah,
I'm
that's
not
all right,
very
mate. It's all,
organised.
it's all good. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
That's all right, mate. Well, we've won a game. And
I can't believe it. Honestly, I can't believe it. It's unbelievable.
do you know?
What an amazing comeback that was.
Well, do you know
I
what? It was a game. When I looked at it. I looked at it on paper and that, and I thought, do you know what? It's just one. It's just. I think it's just going to be one of them nights, and I weren't really confident at all.
mm,
And then and then Conor Gallagher does that to
yeah,
them.
it's absolutely unbelievable. And this is the thing, right? Because I was skeptical about this game because usually I don't like going too confident into games because even though like okay, Crystal Palace have lost like bearing in mind they lost Elise, they lost Eze, they lost Mark
Yeah,
Guy as
a lot of
well
players
today.
out.
They lost a lot of players to be fair, and we're only just in the process of bringing back players from injury. Like I think this was the first game this season that we actually had like a proper subs bench to work with because we
Yeah,
haven't actually had that opportunity where we've had a decent subs bench to swap players out if need be. Poch hasn't actually been given that opportunity to deal with swapping players out. So, um, but I think the subs he made today was actually really good. I thought
positive.
Madueke had to come off
Yeah,
at the beginning of the second half, and Kunku had to come on. Um, my worry is that we're not really. I mean, the thing is with Nkunku, right, is that the only times we've seen him score goals is when we're not doing very well.
yeah. Hence
And
Liverpool
we've
game.
yet to see Nkunku make the impact where um, we're in the second half or the first half, and we're not necessarily chasing the game. It's more of like, okay, level playing field. Can he get the goal to put us 1-0 up? So we haven't actually seen that from Nkunku yet.
Yeah,
But to be fair, this is a new league to him, and he's had all the injuries and that. So I'll benefit the doubt. He's going to have time to,
yeah. He's got to
gel in the Premier League. So
adjust to the Premier League, and I think we've got to kind of wrap him up in cotton a little bit as well. I'd like to see him play a major part in the final in a couple of weeks.
yeah,
Um, so I think that maybe there's a part of that we're just kind of trying to get him up to that sort of space. I mean, no question, there's an unbelievable player in there.
yeah, of course, yeah,
And it does excite me to see. And yeah, going back to pre-season when we had like Nkunku, Jackson, Mudryk, Sterling, the movement between the four like was incredible. Add Palmer into that mix now and
mm,
Madueke, and there's potential for some really exciting, forward play. But it brings me on to a little bit of a point with tonight and with the way we started.
mm,
I mean, I missed the first 10 minutes. I was able to watch the rest of the first half, but it's so pedestrian, like at the back, so many sideways passes. And a lot of that for me, I don't know how you feel about it, but a lot of that for me is it's compensating for the lack of pace by having Silver in the team.
yeah. No, I absolutely agree with that. This is what I found out with the first half performance compared to the second. I thought lineup was good. However, we
Yeah.
set up completely wrong for what Palace was capable of. They were going to play low block. That was
100%.
obvious. 100% was going to play a low block. We knew that was coming because obviously with the lack of having the creativity of Elise and Eze up front, they knew that they were going to struggle for goals. They didn't know where the goals was going to come from. By the way, can I just add, Lerma's goal was fucking amazing. I will admit that. It was a fantastic goal. Defense was shocking for it, but that goal was absolutely amazing. I will say that.
For me, I don't think, you know, I know a few people criticize Petrovic's positioning on that, but for me, I just think it's just one of them shots. It's gone. It's so quick. The way it's, you know, the pace on it, it's a great hit. And fair play to him.
It's a shame because Petrovic saw that goal late. Actually, he reacted a bit late to it, which is fair enough. I think someone was standing as well. I don't know if it was Sassy or that.
Yeah, to Sassy, and he turned his back and all, and I hate that. Yeah. I'm sorry, you know, a JT or you know, a Ricardo Carvalho and that, they don't turn the back on the ball. Yeah, they take the hit. You know, but that's modern day defenders for you.
yeah. But
I do think that with the low block.
Yeah, because going back to what I was going to say, based on the first half, we did set it up wrong. And I noticed that we got exploited a lot in that midfield in this game, essentially. I thought Gallagher and Enzo were set up brilliant. However, I thought Caicedo's positioning was not good in the first half because I felt like he was playing more defensive to cover Thiago Silva.
He was getting too close to the back four.
Yeah, that's what I felt. I felt like he was covering Silva too much. And I feel like that's where the slow play comes into it because Caicedo's trying to do so much in that DM position. He's playing as a defensive midfielder. Gallagher and Enzo are like the pivots to pushing the ball forward. But Caicedo, I felt like he was too defensive and that he did very well, to be fair, because Palace had a lot of threats in that first half and he did a lot to win the ball in the midfield. But
a lot of donkey work.
Yeah, it was a lot of donkey work, and I felt like a lot of the slow play came from Thiago Silva passing it back and forth.
And I felt that particularly when Caicedo got hold of the ball, that he was, you know, he was never in a, because Palace were pushing on him because they knew that if they could sit on him and we were playing so pedestrian at the back, that when he was receiving ball, he was facing his own goal.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be able to turn away, move into space and link with Enzo or Gallagher through the midfield, or even link the ball quick into our forward areas. So it's quite clever from Palace, really. Sit low defensively themselves, know that they could sort of like put a bit of pressure on us and pin us in our own third. And there was no real way out because we weren't, you know, none of the centre halves were prepared to step forward. Now, for me, when Badiashile plays, I think he's that one centre half that then can make that transition through. Not a press because the Palace didn't really press us that much, but he would have been the one that would have stepped forward the ball and pinged the ball into the forward areas. And we didn't really have that.
No, we kind of lacked it, and I mean, I do worry a bit because we did take some blows in injuries as well, which is it's another thing to add to our list as well because who was it that went off? I think Gusto signed off in the second half. I think I don't know what his situation. I haven't actually seen anything from Poch yet to say about what he went off for. But
Gilchrist came on.
Gilchrist came on for him. Somebody else went off as well.
Well, Thiago went off. Colwell 61 minutes. Jackson went off. That's because he was on a yellow, freshen up a bit with Sterling.
So Silva is a blow, but then again, like if we
could be a blessing in disguise.
Maybe just based off of the pace of the game. I mean, we've got 2 hard games coming up now. Manchester City away. That's going to be so difficult, and a lot of us Chelsea fans are not expecting a single result at the Etihad Stadium in that game.
And they're starting. It's typical City after New Year. They're starting to kick into gear. De Bruyne's back, etc. So that's going to be a real.
They've got all of the lads back playing football. They've got De Bruyne. They've got Haaland, Rodri's fit. So yeah, it'll be a difficult game, but I will be interested to see how we set up for that game. I mean, especially coming off the 4-4 at the Bridge, which again, no one saw us actually pulling a fantastic result like that at home against City. But yeah, the Etihad is always a difficult stadium to play. I was there last season actually for the cup final in the FA Cup when we got battered 4-0. That was a rough one to take, and I am actually there as well at the weekend for that. So that would be it'd be interesting to see what the atmosphere will be like for that. So
yeah. I'm kind of dreading it. I should like to say, a good friend and Adam, who's just said hello, lads, in the chat. Obviously, he did my previous episode. He's a Derby County fan, so Adam's there watching. Hello, mate. Welcome to the show. So I have seen your comment. If I do react late to your comments, I have seen them. I have got the chat up. So yeah, yeah, I am dreading it. I don't know. I don't really. I don't know where he's going to go with the lineup for that game.
Yeah, I don't know too much either. I mean, the thing is that I'm finding it difficult in terms of making too much change. I feel like that's the problem with
Mm,
Chelsea this season because of
it's
all the
far
injuries
too
we've had
much.
and all that. It's been far too much
I
change.
can't. I can't actually honestly remember when we've actually not made a change in the back four. For an I
Yeah,
can't remember. I can't actually remember starting say 2 or 3 games with the same back four.
yeah, I can't actually think about the last time we did that as well. Actually, that says a lot to me.
It does. Yeah. I mean, overall, what's your thoughts with Poch? I mean, there's obviously, previous to the last couple of results, like obviously tonight and the Villa game, there was a bit of a clamour, and then the Poch outs were starting to creep up again. And for me, I've always been in the camp of giving him time, because I still, even now, I still don't think he's had a full deck to play with.
No, I agree. I've been saying this a lot with my mates and other Chelsea fans as well that I've known from going to games and that. And
Yeah.
I've been more on like the fence situation. Like I understand where people get the frustration with Poch, and I feel like a lot of the agenda does come to the side of him being a former Tottenham Hotspur manager.
Yeah, do
Obviously,
you know
not.
what? I was just about to say that.
Yeah, because he's not known to obviously winning trophies. He's known to not do well in cup finals. So I say because obviously the Champions League against Liverpool for Tottenham,
Yeah,
and then he's
PSG.
obviously PSG as well, which obviously is not very hard for PSG to win Ligue 1 because they're
No.
one of the best clubs in France. Let's be honest. So, um, but yeah, I don't know. I've been on the fence with Poch. Like I don't
I,
hear me out when I say this because I was like many Chelsea fans. I was worried when Poch was going to be announced as our manager, and I think a lot of us was because a lot of us
yeah.
had like, is he really going to live up to the expectations? I
He,
mean,
he was my pick. I mean, I personally, I don't know, I'll take pelters for this, but I still think we maybe should have give Potter a little bit more time. Um, I just, well, obviously he wasn't going to get it because he'd lost the
no,
confidence of the dressing room and
I think
everyone.
yeah,
But
at that point, mate, I think he did lose the plot.
yeah,
I mean,
so
losing to Southampton and that, I mean, that was the
yeah,
nail in the coffin. That
so
I think.
obviously with him going, um, for me, it was still going to be. I thought Poch, for me, with what was out there and what was available, for me, it was always going to be. I thought Poch would be the right person, mainly due to the fact because of the direction that Clear Lake and Todd want to go in terms of like bringing in young players, and he does have a track record of developing young players. We saw what he was capable of doing with Dele Alli and a few others, young players that he had at Tottenham, etc. So yeah, I see the logic, but with young players, you've got to have patience, because you'll
Yeah.
get 3 or 4 games where they just don't even look like they're capable of playing football.
But this is what my worry is as well, actually, with all of it, is that when you look at the last few games that we've had, a lot of the problems we've had seems to come when the experienced players are on the pitch, like
Yeah,
Thiago Silva and Raheem Sterling. I mean, if I
yeah.
speak about Raheem Sterling, I'll be in big trouble. I'm not gonna lie. He's just been absolutely woeful for
listen,
us at the moment.
listen, go
So
for it. Do you know what though? Because there was a period for about 4 or 5 games which he sort of like, he looked like the old Sterling, he looked like the City Sterling for a little bit, and then it's just gone again. And
yeah,
I don't. I mean, it shouldn't really be. I mean, at his age, with his experience, it shouldn't be a confidence thing,
no,
and he should be able to perform, to the level he can, week in, week out. I think he's never going to be on it every game, but he just doesn't seem to do the basics right.
I don't think it is a confidence thing because I look at him and then I look at someone like Macaulay and Mudrick, who's also struggled, and they both play out on the wing. I think the
Yeah,
problem is with both of them, like they're both pacey individuals. They know where they want to position themselves. I think visually getting themselves into those positions is wrong. They're doing it wrong for a start off.
yeah.
Second of all, they take too many they take too many
Too
not
many
well,
touches.
too many touches that leads up to when they do get a chance on goal, they don't take the chance.
Mm,
Which adds on to the other point that I have as well is that we've been the worst club this season with the amount of chances we've lacked. because we've given away too many opportunities this season. And if you
Yeah.
think about it, if we was to have turned them into goals, we wouldn't be in the position we are in the table right now.
Not at all.
100%. We'll probably be in like top 6, maybe the top 7, maybe. But
100% agree. And we always seem to follow the games that we do lose or go on to lose are really, really struggling. It all seems to follow the same sort of pattern. First 15, 20 minutes, we have a lot of the ball. We create a chance. We don't take the chance. The opposition, almost like they're looking around going, these can't hurt us. They can't hurt us. They're not going to take chances. They can't finish. And then, of course, their confidence grows. They then start coming out playing, get pressure on our back line, and we fall apart.
yeah.
And it all comes down to that. I mean, and I know there's a lot of clamour for, oh, yeah, go out and sign Osimhen, go out and sign a world-class striker and all that. But that's not necessarily going to solve all the problems. One man ain't gonna do it. It still needs that attacking that unit as a whole to, one, create the chances, and two, help with the finishing. And for me, the midfield still feels a little bit too just. It's with Caicedo. It's like sometimes when you look at him on the pitch, it's almost like he doesn't know where he should be. And that would come down to the coaching.
I think what helped him a lot in this second half, I mean, obviously Silva going off kind of helped him because it looked like he became a bit more liking, when Kante, I don't want to compare him to Kante, because Kante's so much better than Caicedo, but if you looked at that second half realistically, right, I saw a different side to Caicedo. I looked at a man who wanted to free roam and get into positions where he wanted the ball. And that reminded me of N'Golo Kante when he played.
Which is what he did at Brighton. It was about he'd be involved with breaking up play, but at Brighton, when he played centrally with McAllister, etc., he was the one that would drive through. He would drive through the midfield. He'd receive the ball, and he would be the one that would, drive into space and open the game out. And I think we saw a little bit more of that in the second half, particularly obviously when Silva went off.
Yeah.
But
and I will be honest as well, because I think Alfie Gilchrist has been a massive spark in this team as well. He's been a very good player to bring off the bench as well, and
it's always good for us as well having a
another academy player. Yeah, no, absolutely, I do agree, and it does annoy me that the owners want to remove all of these academy players, but unfortunately for us is that is where the profit is for our club, and obviously with the amount of money we've spent, we have to balance the books out somehow. So it does mean we have to sacrifice some of these players. So
I mean, there's a lot of Chelsea fans that are kind of split on Gallagher. I like him. I've always
love him, honestly. Like today really showed it for me that he's the life and blood of this club. He really
does.
Is.
He have world-class quality as a midfielder? No. But does he need to? If he's going to go out there and run every blade of grass, and die for the shirt, I take 11 of them any day.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, he's not the best midfielder in the world, but my God, like the amount of blood, sweat, and tears he puts into every game that he plays, it's just incredible.
Yeah. And we do lack leaders on the pitch, and for me, I'd be gutted if they cash in on him. I know that, and the fact that people are actually talking about the kind of money that they'd be prepared to pay for him.
Yeah,
particularly our mates over in North London.
No, the thought of me with him going to Tottenham, it doesn't.
It makes me feel ill.
No, it does absolutely make me feel ill as well. I wouldn't mind him. Like, hear me out when I say, if we are to get rid of Gallagher, I really wouldn't mind him if he was to go back to like a Crystal Palace, or even if it was like Brighton or something like that. I think he'd suit those clubs very well.
Yeah,
just purely the way that they play football. But if he goes into that Tottenham team with the way Ange plays football at the moment for them, that's a little bit more worrying, because that adds a bit more depth into their
definite depth to their midfield. So, perfect replacement for someone like a Højbjerg. So that can't happen. That just simply can't happen. No. Right, we've had a couple of comments. Archie. And he says, "Evening, boys. Every little thing's going to be all right." Well, it is tonight.
Do you know what? I love that chant. The away end was singing that non-stop since Gallagher's first goal. That chant, I need it at the Etihad on Saturday, because that was absolutely amazing.
Do you know what? Selhurst can be a noisy place, and after Lerma's goal, I mean, they really woke up, and the ground was pounding. So it was nice to shut them up, and And even at one point asking him if it was a library, which is not an easy thing to do, Selhurst, I can tell you.
No, it's not. I was at the Selhurst game last season, and they do create an amazing atmosphere at Crystal Palace. I will admit their support. It's very good on their day.
Yeah,
So
I've got a lot of
yeah,
friends who are Palace fans, and I've been to
yeah,
Selhurst a few times, and I've actually sat in that Homestead end, and it is a racket, hell of a racket. So,
yeah.
all right, we've got a question from Adam, and he wants our thoughts on Thiago Silva. I know we covered it a little bit, but let's talk about the Thiago Silva conundrum.
Yeah.
I think I still think he has a part to play. I don't believe he should be starting as regularly as he is for me.
Yeah, I have to agree, and purely with the direction of this club at the moment, and just like where the results have been coming from at the moment, I think, unfortunately, guys, I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me, and probably with what Alan's thinking as well, is that
Mm,
I think Silver's got to start being dropped from games moving forward. Because if you look at that back line, right, you look at the work rate that people like Disassi,
yeah,
Thaddeus Shield, Cole will playing in his natural position,
natural
by the way,
position.
and we're not
Yeah,
putting him out on left back for Chilwell. Cole will actually plays so good in the centre back role, and people really underestimate what Levi Colwill can do.
yeah,
So I think on Saturday against Man City, it's got to be Disassi and it's got
and
to be
Colwell.
Levi Colwill. Yeah,
Yeah, with
100% agree.
Ben at left back.
Yeah.
Uh,
But the one thing I will say, which is just unfortunate for Silva, I don't know if it's just because of age or just like the way that he plays at the moment, but like if you watch him play football, it's sideways passes,
yeah,
slowing the ball up, taking too many touches at the back, and it takes him about what a good minute or two to make a decision on where to pass the
yeah.
next
And
ball. So
for me, I feel there's more and more game by game. There's more and more individual mistakes within his play coming in.
yeah,
You know, you can see obviously. You know, he still has those moments where because he's just the way he naturally reads the game that he'll make a great block and all that, but then he might get caught out 2 or 3 times, particularly if we're coming up against pacey forwards that are going to move him around the pitch a fair bit. I just don't think he has the capability of keeping up with younger players as Adam's just commented. Actually, he must have read my mind of what I was going to say,
yeah.
and I understand why he plays him and he has him out there because having a leader like that on the pitch, but
That an experience in the back line as well, isn't
yeah,
it?
but
Yeah.
if you're gonna do it and you're gonna try and allow the team to grow organically,
Mm,
you've got to start playing and start building a partnership.
yeah.
I'd love to see, obviously, we've got Fafana to come back, but
Yeah. Well,
chances
this is
are
the
he end
thing
up
that the
injured
pro
again. So
the project moving forward when Thiago leaves is all of these young players, and you've got to start playing all of these young players. They've got to gel together. They've got to
yeah,
have all of the time together because that is our future for this football club. I know
yeah,
a lot of
and
people
that's
don't
where
want
the
to see it,
patient
but
side of the thing has to come in.
yeah,
Um, and this is why I don't see any kind of point at the moment in terms of changing manager because I don't really see that. I know there's been a clamour, people talking about bringing Jose back or even a Conte again, but you're talking short term. These are guys
yeah.
that are only going to stick around for 2, 3 years max, and then we're kind of back in square one again.
I never agreed with all of that hype on Jose Mourinho and that. I
No,
um I heard it on TikTok like a few weeks ago. I actually made a video on this on my TikTok explaining why I don't want Jose Mourinho back. I just feel like Jose's a good manager, obviously. We've had him twice in the past. He's won us trophies and that. Like, I don't discredit him being an absolutely
no,
incredible manager. He's a legend manager for us. That's absolute facts. But look at the way that he has managed recent clubs in his history, especially AS Roma. He's just been sacked from them because
yes,
clubs in Syria have now found out the way that he plays ball. That's
I
that's
don't
now
feel
why
he's
it's led to that.
necessarily
But
adapted. Yeah, he ain't really adapted, tactically his style. I mean, when you look at the likes
no,
of Klopp and Pep, they tweak things. They have a general way that they'd like to play and all that, but their adaptability in terms of tweaking, the way they want to play to players that they have. You've seen it with Pep recently. He's had to adapt his team to accommodate Haaland
yeah,
because he hasn't normally played with that kind of typical big number nine. So, you've seen the likes of Alvarez come more into the team to be a foil for Haaland, etc. To the detriment of not playing people like Grealish or Bernardo Silva all the time.
Yeah.
And Klopp obviously the same at Liverpool. And I'll be quite actually on the side note, I'll be quite sad to see Klopp go out of the Premier League because he's a good character, but I do think that it's going to be the
Yeah.
downfall of Liverpool
He
for a few years.
he is the character to the Premier League, isn't it? I mean, it'll be a
Yeah.
shock the day that Pep leaves the Premier League. Just with what he's done with Manchester City over the years, he
Yeah.
will be the biggest shock, I think,
But
when he
the thing
leaves.
is
So
that all these clubs and FFP is biting everyone. We've seen that with with what happened in the January transfer window because people were just too scared to commit
the
to any
buy,
kind of money.
yeah.
And
Particularly us, I think. What was it? There was an article that went out. I don't know if it was true or not, but they said something about that we couldn't afford to actually sack Poch because of risk of FFP concerns,
yeah, see, I don't buy into that at
which
all. I
I
saw
don't.
that and I
Yeah,
laughed at it a little bit. But
I didn't really buy into that either because
yeah,
I thought with the owners thought, well, if it was time for him to go, it's time
yeah.
for him to go.
And
So
the fact that how much money we've actually saved on shipping all these experienced players out. I think it's like something like we saved something in the region of like a couple £100 million a week or something stupid it was on wages per week with all these experienced players that were on ridiculously massive contracts.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and what a lot of people don't realize, yeah, we've spent £1 billion, but all these young players, a lot of them are not even on 100 grand a week. So,
it's
so
shocking, isn't it?
no, yeah. So we've like half the wage bill, if you like, if not more. So the notion that we couldn't potentially sack a manager because of FFP, I find it a little, I find that a bit of a stretch, but
And a lot of people forget as well, with all of these signings we've actually made, all of them are on 8-year contracts. So we're not actually
yeah.
paying like the full amount, like here, there, and there. Like it's
No,
not under like the normal, oh
no.
yeah, the 5-year contracts and that. This is an 8-year contract. So it's stretched out where they're probably going to be paid like what, only like 60, 70K, like during that time period of a
Yeah,
year. So yeah, so the wage bill is really decreasing. That the only
yeah,
person that is high in the wage bill is Sterling, and that's
yeah.
where my criticism is of Sterling. We're paying him 300 grand a week, and he's just not performing to the expectations of this football club.
Wouldn't be
So
surprised if he's moved on in the summer.
I think he might do. I think
Yeah,
the direction is if that, because I think what was the rumor? I saw that Chelsea sent out scouts for Nico Williams of Atletico
yeah,
Bilbao. Yeah, so I
yeah,
think that's a direction where they're thinking, well, if they're going to get rid of someone like Sterling, then they might
yeah,
replace someone like him, who's another youngster who fit the project. So they might
yeah.
replace him for someone like
And
Sterling.
can play through the middle, but I think um, there's elements of Jackson with that signing as well. A
Yeah,
bit of the unknown. He's had a good sort of like 18 months, 2 years. So you are taking a bit of a punt. But obviously at a fraction of the cost of going out and maybe getting like an Osimhen who's going to cost you, north of 100 million.
yeah,
Albeit, I mean, I'd love him, and he is
yeah.
apparently keen on Chelsea, but you know, realistically, if we're not playing any kind of full European football, I'm not sure.
He'll join us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, this is the thing. It's also that, and I don't think we'll be able to sign him as well because the amount, like, if we spend too many years outside of Europe, then
yeah.
FFP will be crawling up our backside for sure. So,
Well, this is it, and I think obviously this is where the cup final really does come into play because albeit it's only Conference League,
yeah, but
you
at
know,
least it secures us to a form of Europe. Yeah,
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 it's another income,
yeah.
and and potentially isn't it? Well, as we saw with West Ham, it is an easier competition to potentially win.
Mm.
Trophy's a trophy.
New places as well to actually go for away games as well, like going to unusual countries out in like
Yeah,
Romania and that sort of thing. So
something different.
it's an experience.
Mate, I haven't done a European away day for years, and years and years. Do you know what? That's the thing with my job. My job is it's an absolute football killer. It
Mm.
really is. Like the amount of games that I miss because of what I do. But
Yeah,
got to pay the bills.
of course. Yeah.
Right.
There's another comment in here, I think, about
Yeah,
Klopp or something like that.
yeah. Adam again. Klopp going is going to be massive. But you know what? Right? And we're saying about Klopp going. And obviously Pep ain't going to be around forever. Liverpool and Manchester City need to really actually have a look at our situation because they've both got relatively aging squads. City have got a massive problem in terms of having to replace De Bruyne.
Mm.
Liverpool are going to be the same with like Salah, etc. So what we're going through now, and football's an ever revolving circle. For me, if we have a bit of patience and we stick with what we're doing, our players in potentially, I'm not predicting that would win the league or anything, but I think we will be back being competitive once this squad can be allowed to grow together. Because there's no question in my mind that there's some really, really talented players there. And I still hold out hope for Mudryk. I still think Jackson can be a good striker. I'm quite interested where he's done this little shift where he's got him playing out on the left at the moment.
He's been quite interesting out there, I must say.
Yeah.
Like it's
There was
it's
a
a
couple
new
of
phase
crosses
for him.
today where Gusto's put balls in, but I'm just thinking, you got a goal against Villa because you started on that left position
Yeah.
and you made that, you made the diagonal run into the
There was a
box.
ball actually today. I think it was when was it? I think it was towards the end of the first half.
Yeah.
Gusto put a ball in. Jackson's still just hanging out on that left
Hanging
hand
out. Yeah.
side, and you
And
just
I'm
think
like, get in,
yeah,
in.
get in the box where he was in Villa. You'd get the header
As a
in. That's
forward
a goal. That's
myself,
a goal.
particularly when I was young, I was never the biggest striker. So I relied on movement and it was either, getting across the front post or you were never static. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe we need to bring in, individual Pacific coaches or bring back like a Didier Drogba or someone like that,
Mm.
to work with him on movement and stuff like that. And I'd be amazed and I'd be shocked if we're not tapping up JT to come and work with the young defenders and say, even if you
Yeah,
just get him in once or twice a week in training sessions, just to sort of like talk to them about, and they can sit in the DVD room and talk about positioning and stuff like that,
yeah.
and reading the game better when you're under pressure and certain things to do, when to step up in the play on the forward. And you would think that sort of stuff is being covered and you would think that would be happening, but who knows at the moment with the way this club's run? You just
Yeah,
don't,
no,
just don't know.
I'm glad you did touch on JT actually, because I did hear a lot from Chelsea fans saying, "Oh, we need someone like that in the dressing room to
Mm,
encourage the players." We do. I understand that people want someone like him because he's a leader. He knows what he's talking about with Chelsea Football Club. The problem
yes.
is with bringing someone like that into the dressing room is that it kind of goes back to the situation where um, Todd Bowley was getting himself involved in the dressing room. I kind of feel
Mm,
like it pushes that direction a bit, and it kind of pushes the manager away from
yeah.
talking to the players himself to dig in his own tactics to the team,
Yeah. And
if that
maybe
makes
some sort of
sense.
like, yeah, potentially a perceived sort of like power grab.
Yeah,
Maybe JT would have too much influence.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop me from saying Terry can be a coach for the club because he
No.
already coaches for the academy. I could easily see him being transferred into the senior coach role at some point,
Yeah.
especially
Even
for
if
the
it's just
defenders
like on a
role.
consultative,
Yeah,
aspect, just bringing him in and just saying like, one or two sessions, like I say, even if it's not out on the training pitch, if it's just in the background where, just sat in on doing, analyzing games and analyzing their positioning and stuff like that, you know, for me, that would be a serious lack of judgment if we're not tapping into something that's already at the club.
mm.
Yeah. All right, we got another one from Adam. Sterling, thoughts overall 5.1 rating tonight on BBC website. I think he's awful in my opinion. You know what? I don't think either one of us would disagree there.
No, no, he's struggled this season. Sterling. He's had goals here and there. I
Yeah,
mean, the goal against Man City at home, that was the memorable one, I think, for us.
yeah.
But yeah, no, this season he's just he
The fact
hasn't
that
been
for me, the
brilliant.
fact that a kid that we've signed from Manchester City, which everyone kind of raised eyebrows initially.
I did me. I'm very criminal with that.
Oh,
When
mate,
I heard the news about Cole Palmer originally, I was like, this is a very interesting signing.
I've
And do you know what? It was the news beforehand that really interested me because the news that was said was that Chelsea are looking into a surprising summer signing at the end of just before the transfer deadline. And I was like, right, well, okay, they're going to go for someone big here. Little
yeah,
did I know that they were signing Cole Palmer for, by the way, it was only 42 million that they signed Cole Palmer, or 45 million, something like that.
and people still laughed at us.
And people still laughed at us for that. And now look at what he's done. And people say, okay, yeah, he's scored a lot of penalties. But the thing is, in football, those penalties count towards goals, and they also
Yeah.
count towards getting 3 points or
I mean,
getting
look
through
at him
in a cup
tonight
game.
for
So
Enzo's goal, and a constant threat. I like his. I like it. I prefer him in that. I know Madueke has had a good game against Villa, and I can understand why they started, Madueke on that right attacking side tonight. But for me, Cole Palmer's best position is that not an all-out winger.
he's best out on the right side
On that
because
right side is
yeah,
like a
yeah,
slightly wide number 10 who has the freedom to go and move around the pitch and get involved in the game where he needs to. And I always find with Palmer, he's always positive on the
yeah,
pass. All right, occasionally, yeah, he's going to give balls away, and I can accept that, but because he's going to be that one player that then picks the lock. But yeah, I mean, going back to his, which is quite weird because apparently, obviously, Sterling was his mentor at City,
yeah,
and what I like about Palmer more than anything is his honesty. I like his honesty. The fact that he came out in his interviews and said, "Look, I didn't want to leave City. I asked to go on loan. They told me I couldn't, and it had to be a permanent." Then Chelsea came in, and he said that was it. My mind was made up. I thought I could go and have an impact, and my God, has he had an impact?
yeah. Dedication from a young lad at his age to
Yeah,
say to the manager at a top club like that, to say, no, I want that
I want to
full-time
play.
football. I want to play
Yeah,
football. Yeah,
and
exactly.
to
So
back himself and to be fair, to look at our squad and go, yeah, I quite fancy playing there. To be fair, he's not far wrong on it anyway.
no,
But
absolutely not. No. But he's been
yeah,
absolutely quality. Like what Cole Palmer's done to this Chelsea team is absolutely incredible. Like
yeah, breath of fresh air.
eliminate most of his goals this season, we would be struggling. And I
Yeah,
think we'd be further down the table without his
and the
goal
overall link play
contributions.
as well.
Yeah.
Just the general link play and bringing forwards into the game, and you just always feel, and he's got that aura about him that when you give him the ball, you just feel something's going to happen. And
Yeah.
it ain't going to be every game, and people still have to be mindful that he is still a young player, as a whole squad is really, to be fair. But yeah, you've got to be mindful of that, and he still needs time to develop his own game. But if we're only seeing a glimpse of what he could potentially be, but
Yeah.
that then draws into my fear that if we did change manager, what maybe they wouldn't fancy Palmer.
Yeah, because this is the other thing is that we've had managers in the past where they didn't like particular players and they kind of changed out. Do you remember when we had a Rudiger at our
Yeah,
team? We had a manager who was I can't even remember who it was now, but they completely removed Rudiger from the starting 11.
yeah,
I think it was Lampard actually. I think Lampard didn't really like how Rudiger played,
no,
and he favoured more Alonso playing on that left back role, and he changed it out with like Tamori in that centre back role at the time. Tuchel then came in and he gave
Rudiger
Rudiger a chance. And what
straight in,
happened to Rudiger?
world
Straight
class.
into the starting
Well,
11. Yeah.
yeah,
Made
world
an
class centre
impact
back.
straight away. Yeah. So I can kind of see glimpse of that is that if we was to remove Poch now from the situation, where does that leave Cole Palmer in the team?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing is that we know. I mean, like it or not, we're stuck with our current ownership. I don't think they're going anywhere because the Premier League's a license to print money, even if you're not in the Champions League. There's so much money that comes in from the TV deals, etc. That Clearlake and Bowley and they're not going anywhere anytime soon because
Mm.
it's we're going to make money. That's just the way
Yeah.
it is. So if this is the direction they're going to go in, it's absolutely pointless for me bringing in like an established 3-season manager because then you're going to have to look at going and spending 100 million minimum every transfer window to go and sign marquee players and all that to bring instant success.
Yeah.
And that's not where we are. And I know it frustrates. There's a whole generation of Chelsea fans. I mean, obviously I'm a bit older. I'm 45. I was there when when it was Ken Bates and
Yeah.
fences around the around the pitch,
This is
and
this is the thing with
you
me,
know,
right? Because I was born in '99 and I started supporting Chelsea at the age of 6. So all
funny
I've
that
known and all I've been brought up is just
my boy's
this the
99 as well.
successful years. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like I've only been brought up knowing the successful years at Chelsea. But
Yeah,
the thing is that I know about the club's history and I know about what the club's been through over the years with obviously Ken Bates buying the club, and like the club nearly going into liquidation at the point
Yeah,
as well. You know, having
massively. Yeah,
relegations as
and we,
well.
we we
So
would have been in big trouble had Matt Yardley not come in and injected a big amount of cash into the club, because
yeah,
we'd spunked everything up on doing, the doing the Chelsea hotel and the Chelsea Village thing and all that, and
yeah,
rather than investing and making the ground bigger, which probably in hindsight is what we probably should have done
yeah,
initially. And then of course we get into money trouble with that, and the fact that twice. Once, obviously, Bates getting into money trouble and having to rely on Matty Harding as a fan coming in and investing his own money into the club to keep us going. And then, obviously, later on, coming on to Roman coming in and taking the club. I mean, what a
yeah,
bargain. I think Roman paid, I think it was like 100 million or something, 110 million or something it was for the club, including the debts, etc. What a bargain
yeah.
that looks now. We've just been sold for 4.25 mil. But yeah, the thing is that, I mean, and don't get me wrong, the last 20 years has been amazing, and the formula that we had, um, you know, prior to FFP, and was the fact that we brought in established players, we brought in a manager that had a track record of winning trophies. Uh, didn't always work out, Scolari, AVB, whatever, but generally it worked. We brought in, once the dressing room had gone, there was a lot of player power, the likes of JT, Drogba, Frank, obviously down the years, etc. So once they knew that, all right, this manager's not for us anymore, they'd go and have a chat with Roman.
Yeah,
Manager would go out, we'd bring in 3 or 4 world-class players, and we'd go again and we'd win trophies. And
yeah.
but it's not where we are.
No, not at
And,
the
and
moment.
for
No.
me, the quicker the fans accept that, get behind the team, etc., I think the better we'll be going forward. Well, I'm just going to bring up our current injury list because we've had a question from another good friend of mine, Mr. William Cripps. How confident are you that injuries won't plague the rest of the season? Is it painful to see the injuries over the last 12 to 18 months? So while I'll get the current injury list up. I'll let you answer a
Oh,
bit on that.
this should be fun. This should be well and truly fun to go through this.
It has been a shocker.
Yeah, it
I
has.
mean, there's a lot of Premier League teams, to be fair, that have had a lot of injury issues. But I think at one point we had something like 16, 17, what you would say established first team players would have been
Yeah, this
out injured.
season we was at a point where we had probably around the same amount of injuries as Manchester United had, and they
Yeah.
had about a good 16 or so players out injured at some point in the season. So,
Right.
yeah, I've got the list here actually.
Oh, there we
So,
go. Oh, look,
yes,
I'll let you run through them though. There we go.
okay. So first one obviously is Wesley Fofana, which we know Wesley's been out for a while. He was out towards the end of last season, got that unfortunate ACL injury. So
Yeah, and that's his
he's
second ACL, I believe, as well.
it is his second ACL,
That's,
yeah. So he's a risky one to look out for when he does come back, and he probably
yeah.
won't be back till next season. I'm not gonna lie. So
No,
um,
I agree there.
I'm gonna leave the next one because everyone will want to talk about his position. So I'll leave him towards the end. But Benoit Badiashile, we know recently has picked up the groin injury from Villa.
Yeah,
They confirmed he's out for 4 weeks, so he's out for a month. So unfortunately, he's going to miss the cup final in a few weeks' time. That's a blow,
yeah,
unfortunately, because obviously Silva, we don't know what's going to happen with him. He's a question after today's game whether he's been badly injured or not. I don't know, but it would have been good to have Badiashile as a starting centre back or a backup for Levi Colwill, especially for the
yeah.
cup final in a few weeks as well, and for Man City as well this weekend. It would have been good for that. But yeah, that one's unfortunate. Romeo Lavia,
Oh, I get started on
one
that. Yeah,
one game this season, and he's been out for the rest of it. Now, Liverpool fans have every right to laugh at us for that. But to be fair, if the shoes was on the other foot, we'd be doing the same thing to them. So
yeah, yeah, 100%.
he's just been really unfortunate with his injuries. I don't know what he's. Oh yeah, he's out with a thigh injury. It says so. That's
Yeah,
I don't know. They still haven't actually confirmed when he'll be back yet. I think Poch has had a few interviews recently, and he said that he's in no condition to come back yet.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
um,
with him, I mean, he's definitely obviously one for the long term future. He's only what
yeah,
18, 19, so
yeah,
there's no real rush with him. but it would be
No.
nice to actually see him in a Chelsea shirt for more than about 3 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Mark Cucurella. Now, he's had a lot of backlash, especially from last season where he didn't play very well.
Yeah,
However, he did
from
have
me.
a he
Yeah.
did have a few games before his injuries where he was looking like he was getting better,
Yes.
which
Before that ankle injury, yeah, 100%.
does go underrated heavily because a lot of people prefer Ben Chilwell, of course. But I'm gonna be honest here and say this: if you look at how Ben Chilwell's been playing since he's come back from injury, he doesn't look like the same left back as he was
No.
when we won the Champions League.
And I think
So
tactically, I think he's asking Ben to do a few things that are probably maybe not Ben's forte. It's like today, I found that he was just a bit too narrow. I wanted him to kind of stretch the pitch a bit more and get overlapping runs, but he
yeah.
kept seeming to be tucking in all the time.
I
Maybe trying
have
to make that
noticed that as
extra
well,
man in
but
midfield.
I don't know if that's because of the formation we're setting up, because obviously we're trying to build a four at the back formation, which a lot of people are not liking. A lot of us want to
Yeah,
play three at the back because then obviously you get someone like Chilwell and that going up and down because that's what
yeah,
he was good at playing. He's good at playing that left wing back role, which I do understand. But the problem is that if you look at clubs like Liverpool, you look at Man City, they always play four at the back. They don't play
yes,
that three at the back tactician because it's too much of a defensive formation,
yeah.
which we know has worked in the past, but that's
It
only
worked. It
because,
worked in the past because we had world class attacking players that
yeah,
could go and win a game on their own.
exactly that. Yeah. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, the situation now, it's not going to work because
it's no, I
we,
don't
we
believe so.
can't predict where the goals are going to come from. I mean, they come from everywhere. It's point. We get midfielders scoring, we get strikers scoring, we get a defender scoring once in a blue moon, which is great. Like we're getting that build
Yeah,
up again of players all over the field scoring, which is a good sign to see. Which compared to last year, we barely had anyone scoring. But
yeah,
yeah, but no, realistically, we just need it to be that consistent attacking phase to be scoring consistently with goals, which yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And then the
Mate,
next person on the list is Robert Sanchez, but he's due back apparently. Apparently he's
wow.
now slowly getting back into
It'd be
training
interesting
and
to see
that.
what he
So
does because for me, I think Petrovic deserves to stay in the team.
I 100% agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm.
absolutely agree.
You know, the fact Sanchez he's an all right goalkeeper. Um, but let's be real about it.
He's
At the
made more
current,
mistakes. He's just
yeah,
made so
at
many
the current
mistakes.
time we signed him, he was Brighton's third choice goalkeeper. So
Yeah.
that's the reality of what we signed,
But
and
because of his age, it fit the owner's project. That's
it
why we
fit,
went out and spent the
and
money. So
in terms of value at 25 million for an established Premier League player, value wise, the wages wouldn't be astronomical. So in terms of a data and a business, perspective, yeah, all right, that works. But
yeah,
I don't think he's particularly good with his feet.
no,
And for me, overall, he just makes some really, really shaky decisions. I've no confidence in terms of him coming for crosses, etc.
no.
One thing I like about
Georgia
Geordie,
Petrovic though,
yeah,
oh my goodness me, like
he's a big
he's
man and all.
yeah,
He's got
wears
Petr
his
Cech
heart on
vibes.
his sleeve. He really does. Like he puts in a very good work ethic into this team. He does Petrovic. I really
Yeah,
do like him, and we haven't really seen a top quality goalkeeper like that since like the Czech era. Like I'll even be bold and say it's like I know people don't like this because of the way that he left the club, but Courtois in
yeah,
his prime at Chelsea
great
was a
goalkeeper.
great goalkeeper, and
Yeah,
we haven't had someone as confident as like that in the goal since Courtois before he left for Real Madrid. And I'll be honest about that.
I agree.
Yeah.
To be, Courtois had everything. He had everything. He was good on the ball.
A lot of
He
people are
had
going to
that
come back.
presence as
A
well.
lot of people, I just thought about it. So a lot of people will bring up, well, what about Kepa? Kepa was okay. Don't get me wrong. I don't have a
Kepa
problem
had
with
his
Kepa,
moments.
but he had his moments. And there was last season, it built up quite severely on those mistakes that he was getting. So,
Yeah,
um, but I have no problem with Kepa, but
no.
I can't see him staying
And
next season.
to be fair,
So
he's done all right actually standing in for Courtois at Real Madrid. So
yeah.
you know,
Well, actually, I think they're not planning on buying him back at the end of the season.
No,
because he's not starting all the games. They're preferring another
I can't
goalkeeper.
remember.
So
I can't remember his name. I should remember his name because I seem to pack him a lot in FIFA.
I can't remember. I can't remember who it is actually
I
as well.
can't remember his name
Somebody in
offhand,
the
but
chat will
yeah,
probably know who it is. But
yeah. There we go, Adam. I've got there's if you're still there, there's one for you. Go and find out who the second choice, current second choice goalkeeper at Real Madrid is. And
and then
as soon as we see the name, we'll know it.
so second to last from this list. So Leslie Ogachukwu.
Yeah,
Leslie's an interesting one
that's a
because
hamstring, isn't it? So
that's a
mm.
hamstring injury. Yes, he's got no official return date yet, according to this. But he was an interesting signing because he's what 18 years of age, came from the French league, something like that.
Yeah, I like him. I do like him.
I don't
I think
mind him. Yeah, I mean he brings some pace into that
yeah,
midfield.
I certainly
So
think that if he was fit, you'd have a player in there you could come in for Caicedo and give Caicedo a bit of a, the odd game break here and there, and
yeah,
take the pressure off for Caicedo a little bit. And, obviously Caicedo is still a young player and all. He's only, what, 21, 22, whatever it is. But,
yeah,
you know, I do like him. I think that's a very under the radar signing.
yeah. I think he is
Ojukwu.
as well. I do.
I
And then
think I think I know who the one
yeah,
that we're all gonna be talking about.
we've got to discuss it. No, we've got to discuss this now because it's happened a lot, and I know a lot of Chelsea fans want to talk about this. Is our captain, ladies and gentlemen, Reece James.
Now, I have a very controversial opinion on this.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll hear your thoughts first, then I'll go into my one
if
as
Real
well.
Madrid come in the summer and slap, whatever it is, 75, 80, 90 million on the table, I think we would be stupid not to take it because I don't see these injury problems going away.
Mm,
I just think he's the type of player and the way he plays. I don't think he has an off switch. I think he's full throttle in every game. And for me, I just don't. I look at him. I look at the way he's built and all that. I just think we'll be in the same situation every season. We'll be lucky if we have a third of a season out of him every year, and that's a shame because I think when fit, arguably probably the best right back around,
mm.
attacking right back. That is as well.
There is a risk to this, and I think us Chelsea fans need to understand is that there does become a point where the injuries just build up to a point where it's not going to stop because
Yeah,
if you look at past players in Premier League history, and I'm going to use Jack Wilshere as an example, because Jack Wilshere was known for being the most injury prone player in the Premier League. And it came
yeah,
to a point for Arsenal where there was like, enough is enough. And to be fair, I do speak to some Arsenal fans because I know I have some mates of mine that are Arsenal fans, and they did tell me that they did love Jack Wilshere when he was in his prime. He
yeah,
played very good football for them in that
yeah.
midfield for Arsenal. So,
Yet
and
again,
I feel
another
like,
player that with no off switch.
yeah,
Throwing himself into
yeah.
tackles where he didn't need to be putting in and risking his body and risking an injury. You know, and that comparison's actually spot on in terms of Reece because it's a similar kind of thing. You see Reece going for a tackle where you got a reasonable chance of getting hurt, and you're thinking you need to do it.
Yeah.
Players going nowhere. What are you doing? You're the captain of the team. You need to be making more sensible decisions. We need you on the pitch. You need to be a leading there and creating chances.
Yep.
And for me, I say it's a controversial opinion, and I think given time, and the ability to maybe develop his attacking game a bit more, I think Gusto is a more than adequate player to
I
play at right
think,
back for us.
yeah, this is where my opinion is going to come into it because I'm looking at how Malo Gusto especially is playing for us right now,
Yeah,
and I don't think he's doing a bad job at
no.
all. I think
And even Alfie Gilchrist can go in there and play at right back as well.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like that's a good backup in the right back role as well. Is
Yeah,
that Alfie's come into this team and he shows why he loves Chelsea and why he loves playing the football he does right now because this is a amazing opportunity for him right now because I think unfortunately, I could probably see Alfie going on loan next season because I don't think
yeah,
he's going to stay. Because once Reece James come back, he's going to be given one more chance to prove himself. With obviously now he's had surgery,
yeah,
which has been confirmed. They'll now want to give him the chance to see can he stay fit after
yeah.
post surgery.
Didn't
So
didn't stop him jetting out to Las Vegas on Sunday night
Yeah,
to watch the
well,
Super Bowl.
these footballers do that when they're
Oh,
injured, don't
I
they?
know.
It is
I
silly.
know.
It is a bit cheeky, to be fair, for Reece to be doing that. But to be
Yeah.
fair, it's his
All
life,
right.
and
Yeah,
he
yeah. I suppose you're injured. You're injured. You can't play. You can't play.
no,
So it's
no,
where you are. I suppose doesn't necessarily really
yeah,
matter. But
no. The
yeah,
main thing is he's not going out like, running or anything like that. If he was
no.
going out running whilst he's meant to be injured, then yeah, I would have a lot of
Or
criticism to say
getting pissed
about
up
that.
in a nightclub in Dublin.
Oh yeah, or something
Marcus
like
Rashford.
that. There was a video that came out about Cole Palmer about it. I think.
Really?
I think he got videoed being in a nightclub, and that. I think it was
Really? That wouldn't necessarily
it was
surprise
after the
me.
Wolves game when we lost 4-2 the other weekend. He was videoed in a nightclub. I don't know if it's a new video or whether it's an old video that got posted like ages ago or something like that. But yeah, like all of these people find these things and they hold grudges
What it
against them.
amazes me,
So
still amazes me to this day that players do stuff. And another one that springs to mind. I know it's a bit off topic in terms of Chelsea, but I don't know if you've seen the Nuno Tavares video
I haven't seen that. No,
with
actually.
the dogs. I made a cheeky little video on my TikTok just to poke a bit of fun at it. But
Oh,
I mean, what goes through the mind of someone that, you're doing something like that, which is, it's nothing sexual.
okay.
It's just fucking letting a dog lick his mouth. But um, why would you do that and then post it on Snapchat, knowing full well that it could be reposted at a second and fly off around the world?
Yeah, I know.
It's bizarre. There's another player actually, in terms of injuries, but he is back now, and we are. I think he will probably start getting more game time, and I think we have missed him, and that's Chukwuemeka.
Yeah, no, I've said this to a couple of my mates actually. I kind of want to see
Yeah,
Kane get started at some point. I just want to see what he can do. I
yeah. I'm
generally
not.
want to see what he can do because
I
if
struggle to
you,
see maybe where we're going to play him now, but
yeah, but I
I
go
don't know.
back to that West Ham away game where he scored the goal, and I'm like, there's
Yeah,
something in him where I just feel like if we give him more time, he will click
yeah.
in this team. So
He's. I think he could be a proper like box to box number 8 kind of thing. I
yeah,
really do. I mean, there's goals in there. He's got the physicality as well. I think he has. I think he has actually game management intelligence as well from what I've seen already of him.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think he's one of those sort of players that can actually dominate a game. And we don't have many of that. We have a lot of technical players in midfield with Enzo. We've got a headless chicken in Caicedo, and you've got Gallagher who run the nuts off of everything.
yeah,
Um, obviously, you have Lavia and you've got Ugochukwu to come as well. But I'd like to see what we could do with a midfield and maybe of Enzo, Gallagher, and Chukwuemeka. There's a lot of industry, there's a bit of power, and there's a bit of finesse with
mm,
that. And if we want to dominate with the ball as well, I think that could be something that could be potentially quite exciting.
yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. But this is the thing with Poch. I can never seem to predict what Poch is going to do.
No, no. That's,
One week we're starting with, Mudryk will get 2 or 3 games, and then he's out for 3 or 4, and he doesn't get a sniff. I mean, an opportunity tonight with not a particularly quick Alice backline that you could maybe have brought on Mudryk, giving him 20 minutes to go and terrorise them. The way the game is going as well, that there was goals there for us.
yeah.
And it could have been something that he could maybe brought him on. He might have nicked a couple of goals and give him a bit of confidence, etc. I certainly would have brought Mudryk on over Sterling. That's for sure.
Yeah, one of my friends said that, and I was like, I don't know, because like Sterling's not been very well, but then again, like Mudryk hasn't really been performing as well. But then again, I look at it from the other side of the angle. I'm like, he's another youngster as well that's got to have that time to gel
Yeah.
and whatnot. So
I think
I
he
see
needs
it from
minutes, he
both.
needs consistency, and he needs starts
Yeah, I do
to
see it
build it.
from both angles. To be
It's
fair, with
difficult
Mudryk,
when you've
so
got such a large squad, and you are now starting to get players back from injury.
mm,
It's a good thing in many ways to have the problems
have
about having too
options.
many
Yeah, yeah.
options. But when if all the options are not necessarily actually playing well
Then
at
it's
the
like
same time,
who do you have left to play to try and make an
try and get
impact?
something happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we've got another question. It's a little bit off topic. And do we think Everton will be relegated this season?
My answer is no.
I don't think they will, and I'll tell you
No,
why. Because I think Forest are going to get hit with a points deduction.
really.
I do, and I think because I don't. They're not going to touch Manchester City, and I don't think they're going to touch us in terms of particularly this season. But Forest are so well beyond their means. I mean, something when under Steve Cooper, I think they signed something in the region of about 35 players.
Yeah, they did.
And
Some of them were even loaned players as well. Like they
yeah,
weren't all like permanent transfers. Some of them
no,
was loaned
they were
players.
loan
So
players, but on big money in terms of
yeah,
wages, etc. So
yeah.
if they're not within a clear breach of FFP, then and if you're going to hit Everton with a 10-point deduction for one
Where are
confirmed
Nottingham
breach,
Forest actually in the table right now?
I'll bring the table up. I mean, I think they're just outside the bottom three. Actually, to be fair, since Nuno's come in, he's actually done a pretty good job of steadying the ship and that with him.
Oh, they're 16th in the league. Okay, so
Yeah,
they're
but it
actually
is. I mean, it's obviously Burnley and Sheffield United are already a little bit cut adrift,
yeah.
and Everton to be on 19 points already. The fact that they started with a 10-point deduction,
Mm.
that's Sean Dyche has done a really good job, and they're actually starting to get players back from injury as well. If they can keep Calvert-Lewin fit, then and get 10 goals out of him for the rest of the season,
Yeah.
that gives them a massive chance. They have got other forwards that they've signed Beto as well. They've got Branthwaite, who's a good young defender. Harrison that they took on loan from Leeds, he's done pretty well for him.
There's a lot of commitment with Everton, I think, and I
Yeah,
especially like because next season's their last season with Goodison Park before they move into the new stadium in 2 years'
yeah.
time. So,
I think it's actually supposed to be at the end of this season.
oh, is it?
I
I
think so. I
I
think
heard
so.
I heard next season's their
But
last
with the
season
with
with
the
them.
financial etc., maybe they've had to push it a year.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know,
I think COVID had a backlash on that. To be fair, so
yeah, no income.
um, yeah. But looking at the table, so if Nottingham Forest was to get the points deduction, they would actually go to 11 points. That would put them 2 points behind Sheffield United and Burnley.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that
I
would
I,
put them
I mean
bottom.
to answer his question, no, I think Everton will stay up. I think they're just going to have about enough. I think if Forest
It
don't get a
depend. No,
points deduction,
it depends with Everton because
yeah,
I'm looking at the teams at the bottom. Sheffield United for me is a definite. They'll go
yeah,
this
I think
season.
Burnley as well.
I think
Um,
Burnley as well. I don't think company's got enough to keep them up,
and I
unfortunately.
think Luton probably will go.
The only one I question, which has been the real dark horse this season, is Luton. And Luton have been winning games and pulling off
Yeah,
very good results.
I
The
think that they've
result
had
against
a
Newcastle
bit
was
of a
brilliant.
bounce really recently because
Yeah.
the whole like the Tom Lockyer, and I'm not a religious person, but if I'm going to say, I pray that he's makes a full recovery. I think
Yeah,
every
yeah.
football fan does. It's horrible to see any kind of player collapse on the pitch like that
It's like
in those
they've
sort of
had a strength.
circumstances.
It's like since
Yeah,
the incidents happened, they've just had like more of a
it's,
strengthening
it's
bond
brought
with
them
the whole squad.
together.
It's brought them all together. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly that.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
fact that he's back and he's at the stadium for games now, and it's given him a massive lift. He walked around the game that they won actually. I can't remember who they were playing, but
I think it was the Bournemouth game.
it was the
Yeah.
Bournemouth game,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
did a lap. He took a lap round the pitch, around the
Oh no,
stadium.
Bournemouth was the incident that actually happened.
Yeah,
Actually,
that was it. Yeah,
Sheffield United, that was the game. Yeah,
he
he
took
went
a
around
lap
and
round,
clapped the
and
fans. Yeah,
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 and
yeah.
that's just going to lift the players, and they'll ride that wave of good feeling and adrenaline. But I think that will run out towards the end of the season, and when they're playing, the top six, top seven, top eight teams, etc.
Hmm.
I think they'll start cascading down. I don't think
And
they'll have enough. They don't score enough goals.
they've made some interesting signings as well. Luton, like Ross
Well, Ross,
Barkley, he's been unbelievable for them. To be fair,
do you know what? Going,
there's talks of him even possibly making the England squad, which I think is quite funny. To be fair, but he's been
I like
performing
Ross.
well. So
I like Ross,
yeah,
and I think it was a real shame. Yet again, another player that we had who was just injury prone, constantly injury.
yeah.
And when we did get him on the pitch, you think you just see it every now and then that you just see that spark, and you're like, yeah, do you know what? There's a player there, and he is a good player.
Mm.
And I feel sorry for him, and he's playing a slightly different role at Luton. He's playing that a deep sitting midfield, almost like a quarterback kind of role, really for them,
Yeah.
where he can get on the ball, dictate play, and ping the passes. So you never know. You never know. Maybe Luton can do it, and maybe they'll have a little bit of a help from FFP. I think Palace are in big trouble though.
Yeah, no, this game especially is
Yeah,
it's definitely put a lot of Palace fans into rock bottom
yeah. I mean,
motivation,
I've
to
got a
be
lot of
fair.
mates who are Palace fans,
Yeah,
and
so
you
have
know
I as well. Yeah.
they've
I
wanted Roy out for the last 5, 6 matches.
mm.
You know, I know that they've got injuries and
I
they
don't
lack
think
they lack
as much.
creativity.
This is the
But
thing though, because they lost to us, and to be fair, they played well and lost to us. I don't think Roy will get sacked from this game because it wasn't
no,
an awful performance.
I just think they're on 24 points. Maybe another 3 wins could potentially. I think maybe 3 wins gets you what 30. They'll be on like 30, 36, 38 points, whatever. Could be enough. Could be enough to stay up.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's probably what Parish and the board are looking at there at Palace, and they're thinking Roy will keep us up, then we'll go and then we'll replace him in the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to take? Transfer window's closed. You've only got what you've got to work with, and yet again, same with us really.
Yeah.
If we was to sack someone, it's not like you can bring in people in.
No.
So you're working with a squad that's already there, and so I think making changes at this point of the season for many clubs would be a foolish thing.
And
But yeah,
I'm having a look at Palace's next run of games, like the next 5 games in the league, where they've got Everton away next
yeah,
week on a
tough game.
Monday evening at Goodison
Yeah,
Park, which is a tough game.
the
Then they're
following
at
weekend, Burnley.
then they're at home with Burnley. So that's ideally that should be a winnable game for Palace, that Burnley
Yeah,
game. But Burnley seem to some reason pick out points here and there. So it
yeah.
wouldn't actually surprise me with the form of Palace that Burnley go and cause an upset there.
And then they got Spurs at the following
Yeah.
Saturday after that, 2nd of March. They got
Yeah.
Spurs at Tottenham Stadium.
That will be
Did you know it'd just be so Spursy?
if
And
they lost that
apologies if
game.
my mate Paul, who's a regular on the show, apologies, but it would be so Spursy if Palace
If
turn
they
them
went
over.
and lost that, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
I would have to have
Luton, and
chuckle.
then they have Luton at home following that. So
Yeah, then
and
Newcastle
then
and then Forest.
Newcastle, yeah. That's some tough runs for Crystal Palace. I must say,
It is.
them 5 games especially. There's a lot of big
I'm
threats
not.
there.
I'm not looking at any of them fixtures and thinking where there's a win there for them.
No, I struggle to see where they get the points from, especially without their creative players like Elise and Eze playing. So
Yeah. So, see, this is it. We started off talking about Chelsea, and now we're talking about all football. This is what we do on the pod.
yeah.
we're a fountain of football knowledge.
Yeah. It's But then again, I want to have a look at our games. Just
Well, I mean, to be fair though,
through
obviously
that.
we know we got
So,
City coming up, but looking at
yeah.
the table now, we are only actually a couple of points off Newcastle.
This is the beauty
level
of
on
it
games.
because we've been laughed at for the last month being stuck in mid-table. But
Yeah.
now, if you actually look at it and look at the points, especially, we have now closed the gap on positions between 6th and 9th.
Yes,
Like if we win the next game,
I
that
do
puts
think
us
I
to
think we're in relative touching distance of United in 6th.
yeah.
I mean,
So if we win the next game and Newcastle, West Ham, and Brighton drop points, we actually put ourselves 7th in the league.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously we got City.
We will see next. I'm not expecting us to pull a result in
No,
that
but you
game
never know.
anyway. So
You never know. A bit of complacency from City and just
I
have an
wouldn't
off
even.
day.
This is the thing. I wouldn't even mind pulling a point at the Etihad because the
That'd be a
Etihad's
great
so a
point.
difficult game to
Great point.
go to. I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind a point there. So
And then we got a hell of a break actually between the City game and then when we play in the league again because we've got obviously cup
we
final.
was meant to have Tottenham at home following City, but obviously that's been
Yeah.
postponed because of our cup final during that weekend.
And then
so
then the 28th we've got Leeds in the FA Cup, which is a weird one for me, an FA Cup game on a Wednesday night.
yeah, I didn't really understand why they've pushed that, but at least they've given us the TV coverage this time for the game, which they seem to have not picked us for quite a lot of the TV coverages for
And
reason.
as typical, I know because it's my missus' birthday the weekend before that, so I know what I'm on working wise from the Monday, and I already know I'm on a late, so I can't go. So there's no point me even trying to get tickets because
Yeah. It'll be a
Yeah,
tough one to get hold of actually, because obviously because it's Leeds, it's a rivalry. It's on a
yeah,
loyalty point basis, so it
yeah.
is that.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. I'd be looking at sourcing my tickets from elsewhere. I'd be
Yeah.
like ringing up. I'd be like, yeah, are you going to the game? No. Will you do me a ticket? Let me have your ticket. But yeah,
But
and
our run
then
of
yeah,
games
Brentford.
now, yeah, our run of games now is they are very difficult because I'm looking at up till like the beginning of April where we've got Brentford away. That's a
Yeah,
tough game. That
that's
is
a
a
tough
very
game.
difficult game
They
because
just seem to have a bit of a hoodoo over us in the Premier League
yeah,
since they've
that's
been
what I mean. And
promoted.
now they've got Ivan Tony back.
I mean,
That just adds to our
if
problems,
we're
doesn't
talking
it? So
strikers to sign, you know,
yeah,
I know he doesn't necessarily fit the mold of what they want to do because of his age, but if you want an established Premier League bloke who's going to hit the ground running and score goals regularly for you,
yeah.
that would have been the signing. But I'm not sure we can offer Tony what he would want anyway. I'll probably see him more likely ending up at Arsenal.
Yeah, I think he will join I think he suits the Arsenal project more than us, to be
Yeah,
honest. So then
yeah,
we've got Newcastle at home.
that's another tough game.
That's another tough game, yeah. And obviously after the St James's Park, but to be fair, we do have a bit of positive from Newcastle. We
Yeah,
got
and then they're
got
not
the
exactly
comeback in the
flying.
cup and that,
They're
and
not
then
really flying. They're a bit
that.
on and
So
off,
yeah,
and then it's them.
Arsenal, yeah, that's
But
going to be a
do you know
tough
what?
one.
It's, for me, and I go back and I look at a lot of their fixtures. Arsenal do not enjoy a lunchtime kickoff.
Neither
So
do we. Neither
no,
do
no,
we.
we neither do we.
Neither do
So
we.
what we say
No.
that's probably going to be a boring 0-0 draw,
Oh yeah, probably. No,
and then it
yeah,
has to be a must
yeah.
win. Home to Burnley, but
It actually shocks me that a game like that, a blockbuster derby between two teams out of
yeah,
the top six, is
how's
a
that not Super
lunchtime.
Sunday?
Yeah, how is that a lunchtime
How's that
kickoff?
not 4:30 on a Sunday
That
afternoon?
is absolutely crazy to me that that is a lunchtime kickoff.
Yeah,
But yeah.
nevertheless, yeah,
So
and
then
then
after that is
April.
Burnley.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Burnley
Burnley. Yeah,
is
we
they're a
should win it.
bogey. We should, but they are a bogey team for us as well at the bridge for whatever reason. I don't know, but
No, I know
um,
this is a bit of a long off prediction, but my prediction for that one is that he starts Thiago Silva. Um, Burnley play a low block uh, with a counter attack pace up front.
hmm.
We sit there dithering about on the ball at the back, and they nick a couple of quick fucking goals, and we get done again
Yeah,
by a team that we shouldn't be getting done by
I can
because we
easily
won't
see that as well.
because we, not that I wish him to be out injured for a long
No.
period of time, but I think it would benefit the team if Thiago Silva misses the next 6 or 7 games with an injury. Sorry, Thiago, and sorry, Bell. If Bell's listening, apologies because I don't really want you tweeting about the pod.
And then
And
after that
that's a
is Manchester United at home. Now,
yeah,
realistically, we should have won the away game. We should
yeah.
have won that with the form that United were in.
You never really know
But
what you're going to get with United. I mean, in many
no,
respects, they're a little bit similar to us, really.
yeah,
They're a bit of a project at the moment. Ten
they're a
Hag don't
project.
really know what his first, starting 11 would be, and they have injuries and that as well.
This is the thing because United have been in this project now for about what 2, 3 seasons now,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
still building up that the fans want the Glazers out and all that. They still want them out despite the results that they're getting.
Well,
Which, to
this
be
is the
fair,
thing, though. I don't know what your thoughts on this are. This whole like Jim Ratcliffe thing going in there. And I know he was linked with us at one point and all that, but he's ended up going in and spending 1.5 billion on a 25% stake of a club that he has no control in right over.
no,
So
doesn't even have full control over.
no. So when you're talking
Yeah,
like he's going to come in, he's saying, right, I'm going to bring in these players. We're going to spend this. We're going to. Well, hang on a minute. You can say all that, but
you're
if
not
you're
the
if,
full
if you're going to
owners.
spend
Yeah,
if you're spending 100 million pound on a player, well, aren't the Glazers not putting in 75 of that? You know,
yeah,
if unless they're going to go, well, no, if you want him, you go and buy him. And that you do that with your own money, etc. It's a weird one. It's a very
yeah,
strange one. They get to rinse the club still for 75% of its turnover and profit and all that, and yet minimize their risk on transfers by letting Jim pay for it. How that quite works with FFP and all that as well. I'm not sure.
I don't understand how that works either. Actually, I
No,
can't get my
it's a
head
strange
around
one,
it.
and I don't think it will work. And I think that there'll still be a club in 2-3 years' time where they'll be in disarray with no kind of forward planning. Criticize our ownership, rightly so in certain aspects, but at least you can actually see what they're trying to do.
Mm,
You know, they're saying, right, okay, listen, we had an aging squad that's costing us a fortune on wages. We're going to invest it and bring in young players, and we're going to try and let these young players build. And we believe that these young players will become something, either one that will sell for a lot of money, which will enable us to reinvest in the squad, or they'll bring a success on the pitch, and the money comes in from other aspects in terms of, like, you know, competition revenue, etc.
yeah.
So you can kind of see the plan. I look at United, I don't see a plan. I see a stadium that's falling down. I see absolute disarray on the pitch,
Mm,
and no kind of vision or pattern. You know, they were linked. Let's be real, but they were linked with getting Harry Kane, and it's a signing that they really should have done, and it's a signing that Kane would have gone there had they have actually fronted the money.
yeah.
Instead, they spend 3/4 of that money that they could have got Kane for on Rasmus Højlund,
Mm,
who's a kid with not a great goal scoring record,
no. It's
because he
only
has
until
some vague,
recently. It's only
yeah,
until recently he's actually started finding
a
his
bit of
goals
form
and
and
that.
goals.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, to be fair, have been, 2-yard tap-ins. It's not like he's been ripping up books and, belting 25 yarders in, etc. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think, I don't even know if anyone's still watching. We've had no questions from it. Maybe they've all passed out and fallen asleep. Well, we'll finish off with our club, and going forward,
Mm,
and we'll make. I'll take your predictions on where you think that we're going to end up, and obviously, um, hopefully, if we can work it out and we can work dates out, etc., we'll get you back on in
yeah.
after, say, like 4 or 5 games time and that, and we'll see kind of where we are, pushing on towards sort of like April wise and whatnot,
Mm,
and see if this sort of like bit of positivity the last couple of games is carried on.
yeah.
But what would, for me, well, for you rather, what would be, from this point forward, a successful season for you?
Well, so far, because obviously we're not in Europe now, I think the one thing for us is make sure we do win that cup final against Liverpool. We can't go losing another cup final against them, having
No,
3 in a row losing. I mean, I know ideally our expectations are high. We don't want to really be in the Europa Conference League and that, but at the end of the day, if you think about the big picture, it is European
trophy is a
football.
trophy.
It's a trophy to add to the cabinet. It's something for those young players to build on, build confidence. It's
Yeah,
something for Pochettino either to say that, oh, hey, I can win trophies, especially in
yeah,
like big clubs as well. So, um,
100% agree with that.
I think for the next 5 games, probably like the rest of the season, our situation moving forward dictates that cup final. It heavily does dictate on how we go in that cup final.
Yeah, I
So,
think as well, with just for the fact that these young players have got to a cup final, I think that gives them a taste of what can be
mm,
as well. So, this is what this club's about. This is, for the last 20 years, this is what we've done.
yeah,
We've got to finals, not won them all, but we're competitive, and this club needs to be competitive. This is what the fan base demands, that we're competitive and that we make finals. If we don't win them all,
mm,
I've not necessarily got a problem with that. If we don't beat Liverpool, we don't beat Liverpool. But the fact that we've got the club to a final, and let's face it, domestically, there's only 3 trophies that you can win.
mm,
So if you win one of them, or at least get to the final with one of them,
yeah.
you're competitive. So yeah, I hope we do. I hope we
And
do.
there is still some positives as well because we're not knocked out of the FA Cup yet. We could have been knocked out against Villa in the replay.
Yeah.
'Cause nobody thought that we was
No,
going to go
no
into that
one. I
replay at
didn't.
Villa
I
Park.
didn't see that performance coming.
Yeah, neither did I. I didn't see that performance coming. But the fact that we can still say that we are still in the FA Cup as well, like,
Yeah, it's going
there
to be a
is a chance
tough game against Leeds, because
it will
they're
be.
absolutely flying at the moment.
Yeah,
So it is going to be a tough game.
yeah. rivalry as well, they'll definitely be up for it. Their fans will be
Yeah,
up for it as
no,
well.
100%,
So,
100%.
yeah, but no, honestly, I mean, there is positives to it. I mean, obviously the league position is not great, but we are
No,
still in a chance for.
we're
I
not
don't
that
want to
far off
jinx
it.
it, but we're still in the chance of getting a domestic double if you think about it. Which, in a sense, that's brilliant because Liverpool did that the season where we had Tuchel for the second season, if you want to call it that, and we lost
Yeah,
both of those cup finals. They did the domestic double. They were very happy with that. I take domestic doubles this season.
100%.
100% would
100%.
take the
I mean,
domestic double.
realistically, and that goes for many teams. We're such a long way behind where Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City are at the
Yeah,
moment. So competitively for the Premier League, we're potentially maybe 2 to 3 years away from really being competitive. So a couple of quality signings and let these youngsters build, and maybe we can sort of like start pushing back towards top four, etc. again.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so you have to then, for me, you have to give your all in the two domestic cups.
yeah,
Yeah, because there are say route into Europe, and the fact that if we was to win, get in Conference League or win the FA Cup or whatever and get in the Europa League, and then we potentially go on do well in that competition and win that. That's potential Champions League qualification without even being in the top four.
yeah.
So you have to take the ask a West Ham fan, and whether they take where they are in mid-table or hovering around 10th and whatnot, but being a European champion in a
Mm,
European competition, and
yeah,
100% you take it.
yeah,
And where we are currently right now, 100% I'm taking any trophy we can get our hands on.
yeah. No,
You know,
absolutely, yeah.
even if it's the Tiddlywink World Cup final, I want to win it. Yeah. Right. I think we're there, mate. I think
Yeah,
I think we've covered every Chelsea base. We talked a little bit about a little bit about other aspects of football as well. So brilliant.
yeah.
I've enjoyed that. And
Absolutely, I have as
we
well.
said we was only going to do like 45 minutes to an hour. It's like 12:15. Time flies.
Yeah,
Right, brilliant. I will, like I say, you're more than welcome back on here anytime, mate. If we have a few bad runs and you want to come on and have a good old rant and get a load of stuff off your chest, mate, this would be the place for it. And yeah, brilliant. So
yeah.
very much appreciate you joining me
No,
on the
thank
pod.
you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Brilliant, mate. Nice one. Right. Well, that is season 4, episode 14. And that's Chelsea Chat with Dylan and myself, and a few other bits and pieces. And thank you to everyone that's in the chat as well. So we much appreciate people joining in the chat. And obviously, for anyone that's new here, don't forget, drop a sub. Join us on the social media at wherever you find and come across us, you'll find the link tree where you can interact with every aspect of the podcast. Or like I say, every episode, you can do it the old fashioned way, which is the modern day pen and paper. And you can even drop the show an email, which is talkfootballpdc@gmail.com. So that's me. That's me, your host, Dodgy. Thank you very much for joining the show. Dylan, thank you very much for coming on, mate. So
Pleasure.
much appreciated. Apologies again that it's taken so long to get you here.
No worries.
And we look forward to having you back. And that's it. End of show. Thank you very
Real.
much.
No, no worries. That's brilliant. Thank you for having me.
All right, we say goodbye to you.